want God's joy. I want God's joy. Down in my soul. Down in my soul. I want God's joy. I want God's joy. Down in my soul. Down in my soul. I want God's joy. I want God's joy. Down in my soul. Down in my soul. I want to be healed. I want to be healed. I want to be whole. I want to be whole. I want God's love.
I've been an executive presbyter here in the Synod of the Trinity now for almost 10 years, and in my opinion, this is one of the best Synod meetings I've ever attended.
The Synod meeting in June was my first ever Synod of the Trinity meeting. I've met with Presbyterian women in the Synod of the Trinity, but never as the Synod of the Trinity. So I wasn't quite sure what to expect, and I knew that this meeting was going to be a very different meeting. So I knew that most Synod meetings, like Presbyterian meetings, have a lot of business conducted, lots of fellowship and camaraderie, but mostly business and not as much fun. This meeting was loads of fun from my perspective. Being able to sit and meet different people, moving around in small groups, moving from room to room for the worship, having the opportunity to share thoughts with people, and singing.
The presence of the Lord is here. The presence of the Lord is here. I can feel it. It is a blessing to be able to co-conspire with the leadership team and with the staff as we envision a new way of doing a meeting, which to me kind of harmonizes with the fact that there is in the air conversation about a new way to be Synod or to live into regional ministry. A lot of this meeting will be about that.
And the business was just kind of like layered into that worshiping experience in such a way that you didn't feel like it was actually a business meeting at all, but rather truly a time of worshipful work in which we were celebrating God's Spirit and presence and trying to listen for His voice as we move ahead.
Blending worship and business is very important because it's who we are and who we need to be as the church. And we've got to be anchored. Our worship is important, and knowing whose work we're doing is incredibly important.
Now the Lord said to Abram,
"Go from your country, your people, and your father's household."
When they'd come to the land of Canaan,
One of the things I think that really impressed me the most was what we call the dwelling in the Word. They took one specific Bible passage, which was from Genesis chapter 12. First time they would read it in one version, and then they read it again in another version, and then they'd read it again in a third different version. And then there was a time of interpreting it, trying to help us to get deeper into that Word. And that's the passage of being led out, being on a journey. And the idea was that we as a Synod are on a journey, a very difficult journey.
Genesis chapter 12 is about a narrative of trying to understand what is, what can be, who am I, who is my family, and where are we headed together. And my sense is that this is where the PCUSA is at, and this is where the Synod of the Trinity is at as well.
For me, one of the high points was hearing from the Reverend Dr. Neil Pressa. I mean, he's just an impressive man. And I felt so comfortable and confident knowing that he's the face to the world of the Presbyterian Church USA.
And one of the things that I took away from what Neil shared with us is a statement that he said.
We are an Easter people in a Good Friday world that is called to live in the spirit of Pentecost.
And that really stuck with me and encouraged me as an executive presbyter, but also as a disciple of Jesus Christ.
I think for Presbyterians, he did hit the nail on the head. And I know since then, I have used that quote. And everyone was like, repeat that again, I want to write it down. They all wanted to capture that.
I belong, you belong, we belong to God.
I think the purpose of this particular Synod meeting was to bring the reports, really, from the various table talks that was held in all of the presbyteries.
The leadership team of this Synod has been working on this for near onto a year. Their question as they started was, how can we faithfully and effectively engage in conversations that will lead the Synod to find a new and better way to be and do for the glory of God, a new and better way to serve, a new and better way to be in partnership with presbyteries, who, in case you haven't noticed, are changing very, very rapidly.
The work of we as Synod is about who we are and what we do together and how we be together. It's about how we grasp the benefit to the church of an ever-broadening regional relationship.
We've come this far by faith.
So here's what we did. We went around and we visited all the presbyteries and did these table talks with folks, and we talked about a lot of different things. We started out by brainstorming through 4 words: relationship, partnership, missional, and catalyst. Those words had been appearing since we started a formal process in January and well before. And we talked to people about what they might mean. And what was really fun was that as we took all that brainstorming and threw it into a program called Wordle, we got pictures of what people thought these words meant, what they meant to them. And the bigger the word, the more times we heard it repeated back to us to talk about like relationship or missional. In the center of each picture, you see the primary word, and around it, you see the brainstorming. That was informative. It was really helpful.
And so then how do we change?
But perhaps more importantly, and in addition to that, we discussed many, many things in each presbytery and took notes. And together, the leadership team called through those notes, looked for repetitive themes and needs and dreams and wonderings, and came up with what we have labeled as the 4 priorities for moving forward.
I think they did a really credible job in pulling that together and then getting it to us and then asking us, okay, these are the 4 areas. How do they look to you?
What do we need to be doing to serve our Lord in this place and in this time? What can we do to witness God's reign, to better serve God's love and share God's love and healing with our brothers and sisters in a broken world? That's what the Synod of the Trinity has tried to be about since 1706. That's a long journey, but it's not anywhere near over yet.
We are all on a journey together, and all 15 synods with you, 173 presbyteries, including 10 seminaries, are all on a journey. 10,100 congregations, and now 1.8 million followers of Jesus Christ.
I'm excited about the future because I think people are really thinking in creative ways of how we can create that future. But I also know that it's not going to look like it looks now, and so I'm a little bit intimidated, like what does that mean for how we structure or how we engage in church?
As we look at the future of the synods within the Presbyterian Church USA, we are certainly in a time of great discernment. But at the same time, I feel very positive that the Synod of the Trinity has a strong future ahead of it.
The fact that 173 presbyteries are wrestling with what is God calling us to be and become, that is a good thing. The day in which presbyteries and synods stop wrestling, and apathy, indifference, and the white flag goes up, then game over.
I absolutely believe that this is a time for God's people and the Synod of the Trinity to do something absolutely outrageous and bold for the glory of God.